We all know what it feels like to have a bold idea, an unconventional insight, a creative solution, a new path no one else sees. But then, the doubt creeps in. Is this crazy? What if I fail? Will people even listen? Most of us silence ourselves before we even start. We choose safety over originality, acceptance over resistance, normal over new. But Adam Grant, psychologist and author of Originals, shows us a different way. He takes us into the minds and behaviors of non-conformist people who don't just think differently, but act differently. People who challenge the status quo, not by risking it all, but by being strategic, calculated, and courageous in ways most of us never imagine. This book is not about being reckless. It's not about rebelling just to be loud. It's about learning to champion ideas that matter, challenge the ordinary, and move the world forward without destroying yourself in the process. Let's explore the truth behind original thinkers and what it takes to bring your voice to life. Chapter 1. Originals are made, not born. We often believe that originality is innate. You're either born a genius, a visionary, a rebel, or you're not. But Grant shatters that myth. He shows us that original thinkers aren't the wildest risk takers. They're often the most thoughtful planners. They don't act immediately on impulse. They study patterns, delay decisions, prepare longer, question everything including themselves. In fact, procrastination is a common trait among originals. Why? Because they take time to rethink, revise, and refine their ideas. It's not about moving fast. It's about moving right. Originality isn't magic, it's a mindset. Chapter 2. The hidden power of doubt. Most people think that successful innovators are always confident, fearless, bold. But Grant introduces us to a surprising truth. The most original people often have doubt, but not in their ideas. They doubt themselves. And that's what keeps them sharp. Instead of blind faith, they engage in what Grant calls defensive pessimism. They imagine obstacles. They poke holes in their own plans. They test before they leap. This isn't insecurity, it's self-awareness. Because true confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward with fear and to stay honest every step of the way. Chapter 3. Idea selection, quantity over quality. Here's something unexpected. Original thinkers don't come up with better ideas, they come up with more of them. Mozart, Edison, Shakespeare, all known for their brilliance but also for their massive volume of work. Why? Because the best ideas are buried among the worst. You can't predict what will work, so the most original minds don't try to be perfect. They just create constantly. They give themselves permission to fail, again and again, until something shines. Grant reminds us. To do something great, you must be willing to do many things badly first. Chapter 4. Strategic risk-taking. You don't have to quit your job, burn bridges, or go all in to be original. In fact, many of the greatest changemakers didn't leap, they tiptoed. Grant tells the story of Warby Parker's founders. They started slow, launched late, kept their day jobs, and yet they built one of the most successful startups of the decade. True originals are often risk-averse, but they know how to balance their risk. They might take creative risks while keeping financial ones low. They test ideas quietly before making a public push. It's not about being fearless. It's about being smart with your fear. Chapter 5. Speaking up without getting shot down. Having a great idea is one thing. Getting others to support it, that's the real battle. Originals know how to speak truth to power without triggering resistance. Grant shares research on how people are more persuasive when they highlight flaws in their own ideas before others do. This builds trust. It shows honesty. It disarms defensiveness. Another strategy: finding allies in unlikely places. Sometimes the best supporters are not the leaders, but the skeptics. Win them over, and your message spreads faster. It's not about yelling louder. It's about speaking wiser. Chapter 6. Timing is everything. When should you launch your idea? Push for change? Take a stand? The answer isn't right now. It's when the timing is right. Originals are great at reading the moment. They watch the emotional temperature. They build credibility before asking for trust. They look for windows of influence, not just passion. In the story of Martin Luther King Jr., Grant points out that MLK didn't give the "I have a dream" speech immediately. He built the movement, the momentum, and the moment so when he spoke, the world was ready to listen. Original thinking is bold, but it's also patient. Chapter 7. Managing doubt in others. It's not just about believing in yourself. You have to help others believe too. And that means managing their doubts, fears, and skepticism. Grant says one of the best ways to do this is to create a safe space for disagreement. Encourage feedback. Invite criticism. Show that you value truth over ego. When people feel seen and heard, they're more likely to support you. Leadership isn't about controlling the message. It's about creating an environment where people want the truth to win. Chapter 8. Parenting and teaching originals. Originality isn't just for entrepreneurs or activists. It begins in childhood. So how do we raise and teach original thinkers? Grant shares fascinating research. Encourage value-driven behavior instead of rules-based obedience. Let kids make choices and explain why those choices matter. Praise effort and curiosity, not just outcomes. In short, raise kids who question authority not to rebel, but to understand. Original thinkers aren't trained to conform. They're taught to explore, to doubt, to care deeply and think differently. It starts at home, in schools, in the moments we say, "What do you think?" Chapter 9. Originality in everyday life. You don't need a TED stage to be original. You don't need a startup, a book deal, a revolution. Originality shows up in the small choices. The moment you challenge a toxic workplace habit. The decision to pursue your weird idea. The courage to speak when others stay silent. Grant reminds us, you don't have to be a genius to make change. You just have to be brave enough to act differently and persistent enough not to quit when it doesn't work right away. You have ideas, you have insights, you have a part of you that doesn't want to follow the script. Don't silence it. You don't have to burn your life down to become original. You just have to stop waiting for permission to be different. Let your ideas live. Let your voice rise. Test it, shape it, share it. The world doesn't change when everyone agrees. It changes when someone dares to challenge what everyone else assumes. If you felt something shift in you while listening, subscribe to Real Deep Understanding. This is where bold thinking is nurtured, not judged. Where truth matters more than popularity. Where the spark of originality becomes a fire of real-world impact. Like this video if it opened up a new way of thinking. Comment what's one original idea you've been afraid to act on. Share this with someone who sees the world differently and just needs a reminder that that's their gift. You're not here to fit in. You're here to move the world forward. And you will.